Rejection. It's a word that can send shivers down our spines, isn't it? But what if I told you that rejection can be your greatest teacher? Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, facing the storm. You could either let the winds push you back or find your footing and rise above. Think about the last time you faced a setback. Did you crumble, or did you find a way to grow stronger? The Stoics believed that our perception of events shapes our reality. When faced with rejection, it's not the rejection itself that defines us, but how we respond to it. What if instead of seeing rejection as a failure, you viewed it as an opportunity to reflect, adapt, and ultimately, to evolve? Picture yourself as a warrior sharpening your sword, preparing for the next battle. Each instance of rejection is just another strike at the anvil, forging you into something more resilient. Stay with me as we explore the Stoic principles that can transform rejection into a powerful catalyst for growth. Ready to turn pain into strength? Let's dive into this journey together. Acceptance of rejection. You know, one thing I've come to realize is that rejection is just part of the deal in life. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. At some point, you're going to face it. It's almost like a rite of passage, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Whether it's getting passed over for a promotion at work, being turned down for a date, or even having a creative project dismissed, rejection sneaks up on all of us. The sooner we accept that it's inevitable, the easier it becomes to navigate through it. It's liberating, really. Instead of dreading the possibility of rejection, we can start to see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. This perspective is heavily influenced by Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to accept what we cannot control. When we face rejection, we can't control how others perceive us or the decisions they make. What we can control, however, is our reaction. The Stoics believed that our emotional responses are what truly matter. By accepting rejection as part of life, we can begin to cultivate a mindset that focuses on personal growth rather than what we've lost. It's like flipping a switch from a negative mindset to a more constructive one, allowing us to rise from the ashes of disappointment. Interestingly, acceptance of rejection can also foster resilience. Each time we encounter a setback, we have a choice. We can let it bring us down or use it as a stepping stone for future success. By acknowledging that rejection is a common human experience, we can find solidarity with others who have faced similar situations. It's almost comforting to know that we're not alone in our struggles. So instead of wallowing in self-pity, we can lean into the discomfort and use it as fuel for our growth journey. Moreover, acceptance encourages us to take risks. When we understand that rejection is just part of the process, we're more likely to put ourselves out there. Whether it's applying for that dream job or asking someone out, the fear of rejection often holds us back. But if we embrace the idea that rejection is not the end of the world, we can move forward with more confidence. Each no can become a step closer to a yes, and that's a powerful mindset shift. Finally, I've found that acceptance of rejection leads to a healthier relationship with ourselves. When we accept that we may not always be chosen or validated, we learn to derive our worth from within. Our self-esteem stops being contingent on external factors and starts being based on our values and what we bring to the table. This internal validation is far more robust and sustainable than any external approval we might seek. Differentiation between what we can and cannot control. Let's dive into something that's been a game changer for me: understanding what we can control versus what we can't. In the face of rejection, it's so easy to focus on the external factors, what others think or how they respond to us. But here's the kicker: those things are outside our control. What we can control, however, are our reactions and emotions. This realization has been incredibly freeing. Instead of getting caught up in the opinions of others, I've learned to put my energy into my response. This differentiation is crucial for building resilience. When I experience rejection, I often find myself reflecting on my feelings and how I choose to respond. Do I let it consume me, or do I take it in stride? By focusing on my reactions, I can cultivate a sense of empowerment. I can choose to view rejection as a reflection of someone else's needs or preferences, rather than a judgment of my worth. This shift in perspective helps me maintain my self-esteem even when faced with setbacks. Another aspect of this differentiation is recognizing the temporary nature of rejection. It's easy to feel like the world is crumbling when we're faced with a no. But if we take a step back, we can see that it's just a moment in time. The opinions and actions of others are fluid. They can change from one day to the next. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and emotional responses, we can navigate through rejection with a clearer mind. Additionally, this understanding encourages us to cultivate emotional intelligence. When we differentiate between our feelings and the actions of others, we become more adept at managing our emotions. This emotional management is key to resilience. Instead of spiraling into negativity, we learn to process our feelings, understand their roots, and respond in a way that aligns with our values. It's about taking ownership of our emotional landscape. In the end, the more we practice this differentiation, the easier it becomes to navigate life's ups and downs. We can face rejection with a sense of calm and clarity, knowing that while we can't control others, we absolutely have the power to control our reactions. This mindset not only strengthens our resilience but also enriches our overall emotional well-being. Reflection and self-knowledge. Now let's talk about self-reflection and how rejection can actually serve as a valuable tool for self. When we face rejection, it's a jarring experience that often prompts us to take a closer look at ourselves. What are our values? What do we truly want? These questions can emerge in the aftermath of being turned down, and that's a good thing. It's a chance to dive deeper into who we are and what we stand for. Through this process of reflection, we can uncover the aspects of ourselves that may need attention or adjustment. Maybe the rejection highlighted a gap between our current situation and our aspirations. Perhaps it revealed insecurities or fears we hadn't addressed. Whatever it is, taking the time to reflect allows us to turn a painful experience into an opportunity for growth and improvement. It's like holding up a mirror to ourselves and seeing not just our flaws, but also our strengths. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-knowledge as a means to navigate life's challenges. When we understand ourselves better, we become more resilient. We learn to accept our feelings, but we also recognize that they don't define us. Rejection doesn't mean we're unworthy. It simply means that we need to align our actions with our true selves. This journey of self-discovery can lead to a more authentic life, where we pursue goals that genuinely resonate with who we are. Additionally, reflection allows us to redefine our relationship with rejection. Instead of seeing it as a personal failure, we can view it as feedback. This perspective shift is incredibly powerful. It encourages us to seek constructive criticism and learn from our experiences. When we embrace rejection as a valuable lesson, rather than a definitive statement about our worth, we open ourselves up to growth and improvement. Finally, the practice of self-reflection can enhance our emotional resilience. By understanding our triggers and reactions, we can better prepare ourselves. We learn to anticipate how we might feel in the face of rejection and develop strategies to cope with those emotions. This proactive approach to self-knowledge ultimately leads to a more grounded and resilient self, better equipped to handle whatever life throws our way. Development of virtue rejection, as unpleasant as it may feel, presents an incredible opportunity for personal growth. When I think back to moments in my life when I faced rejection, I can see clearly how those experiences have shaped me. Instead of wallowing in disappointment, I've learned to shift my focus toward the virtues that can be cultivated in the face of adversity. Courage, patience, and wisdom are just a few of the characteristics that can emerge when we allow ourselves to confront rejection head-on. Courage is perhaps the most vital virtue we can develop when facing rejection. It takes guts to put ourselves out there, whether in a job application, a romantic relationship, or any other area of life. Each time I faced rejection, I was reminded that the act of trying itself requires bravery. Instead of retreating into my shell, I began to embrace the idea that every rejection was a stepping stone toward finding the right fit for me. Every no made the subsequent yes that much sweeter. and that realization sparked a newfound sense of bravery in my endeavors. Patience is another virtue that has flourished through my experiences with rejection. In a world that often demands instant gratification, it's easy to become disillusioned when things don't go our way immediately. However, I've come to understand that growth takes time. When I faced setbacks, I learned to exercise patience, not just with the process but also with myself. Accepting that the right opportunities might not come along right away helped me to build a more resilient mindset. I learned to appreciate the journey instead of rushing toward the destination. Wisdom, too, is a virtue that can blossom in the aftermath of rejection. Each rejection offers a lesson even if it's not immediately clear. I've found that by taking the time to reflect on why I faced rejection, I can gain valuable insights that inform my future decisions. Whether it's improving my skills, altering my approach, or simply recognizing that not every opportunity is meant for me, these lessons have enriched my understanding of myself and the world around me. Embracing wisdom transforms rejection from a painful experience into a valuable teacher. Moreover, developing these virtues can create a positive feedback loop. The more I practice courage, patience, and wisdom, the stronger I become in facing future rejections. It's almost as if each rejection acts as a workout for my character, strengthening my emotional resilience. By viewing rejection as an opportunity for virtue development, I have learned to navigate life's challenges with a more robust and fortified mindset. Ultimately, the cultivation of virtue through rejection has not only enhanced my character, but has also opened doors to new possibilities. Each time I faced a setback, I emerged a little stronger and a little wiser. The virtues I've developed have been pivotal in shaping not just my response to rejection, but my overall approach to life. When I look back, I realize that rejection wasn't just a barrier, it was a catalyst for my growth. Practice of indifference to external outcomes. One of the most liberating lessons I've learned in my journey through rejection is the practice of indifference to external outcomes. This isn't about becoming apathetic or disengaged. Rather, it's about recognizing that my self-worth and happiness shouldn't hinge on the approval or validation of others. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our actions and intentions, while letting go of the need for external validation, and this principle has transformed my relationship with rejection. When I first encountered rejection, I felt as though my entire self-image had been compromised. It was easy to let the opinions of others dictate how I felt about myself. Over time, I realized that if I anchored my sense of worth in external outcomes, I was setting myself up for a roller coaster of emotions. Embracing the Stoic practice of indifference has allowed me to separate my personal value from the opinions and actions of others. I learned to focus on my efforts and integrity, rather than the result of those efforts. One of the most impactful strategies I adopted was to reframe my mindset around success and failure. Instead of seeing rejection as a definitive end, I began to view it as part of a broader journey. Each attempt, regardless of the outcome, was an opportunity for growth and learning. By concentrating on my own integrity and the effort I put forth, I found a sense of satisfaction that transcended the immediate outcomes. This shift in focus has not only made me more resilient, but has also ignited a passion for pursuing my goals, regardless of the external feedback. Learning to cultivate indifference toward external results has also improved my mental well-being. I've discovered that when I'm overly concerned about how others perceive me, I can easily fall into a cycle of anxiety and self-doubt. By practicing indifference, I've been able to free myself from those chains. I now approach situations with a sense of calm, knowing that my worth isn't tied to a single rejection or a series of them. This mental shift has equipped me to face challenges with a clearer mind and a stronger heart. Ultimately, the practice of indifference toward external outcomes has empowered me to take more risks. When I'm not preoccupied with potential rejection, I'm more willing to put myself out there and pursue opportunities that truly resonate with me. I've learned to derive joy from the process itself rather than fixating on the results. This change in perspective has not only made me more resilient in the face of rejection, but has also enriched my life in ways I never anticipated. Each rejection is now just another chapter in my story, not the conclusion of it. In embracing these Stoic teachings, I've found that the path to personal growth is often paved with setbacks and rejections. But instead of fearing these experiences, I now welcome them as invaluable opportunities for self-discovery and virtue development. Through courage, patience, wisdom, and a focus on internal rather than external validation, I've learned to navigate the complexities of life with a sense of grace and resilience. Acceptance of rejection. You know, one of the toughest pills to swallow in life is the fact that rejection is just part of the game. It's like trying to dodge raindrops in a storm. No matter how hard you try, some are bound to hit you. I've had my fair share of rejection, whether it was in relationships, job applications, or even just trying to fit in. At first it felt like a personal attack, a reflection of my worth. But as I grew older, I began to see it differently. Rejection is not a verdict on who we are. It's simply a part of the human experience. The Stoics have a way of framing this that resonates deeply with me. They teach that we should accept what we cannot control. In this case, we can't control how others feel about us or their decisions to accept or reject us. Instead of wallowing in self-pity, I learned to look at rejection as a learning experience. It's a moment to pause, reflect, and regroup. Maybe the rejection came because I wasn't quite the right fit for that opportunity, or perhaps it was a reminder to refine my approach or my skills. Either way, there's growth to be found if we're willing to look for it. When I started shifting my mindset, I found that I could actually embrace rejection as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. It became less about my ego and more about the lessons hidden in the experience. Each rejection taught me a little more about resilience, about the importance of picking myself up and continuing to strive for what I want. Think about it. Every successful person has faced rejection at some point. It's almost a rite of passage. So, acceptance became my mantra. I began to tell myself that rejection is not the end of the world. It's merely a detour along my journey. With this acceptance, I found a newfound freedom. I was no longer paralyzed by the fear of being rejected. Instead, I felt liberated to take risks, to put myself out there without the weight of fear dragging me down. The more I accepted rejection, the more I realized that it didn't define me. What defined me was how I responded to it. In this acceptance, I also discovered a sense of camaraderie with others. Everyone has faced rejection in some form, and that shared experience creates a bond. Talking about it with friends or even strangers often leads to deeper connections. We find solace in knowing that we're not alone in our struggles. This understanding fosters empathy and compassion, not just for ourselves, but for others who are navigating their own storms of rejection. Differentiation between what we can and cannot control. One of the most liberating lessons I've learned in life is the crucial difference between what I can control and what I can't. When it comes to rejection, understanding this difference has been transformative. It's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of emotions that come with being turned down. But the reality is, I can only control my reactions and feelings, not the actions or opinions of others. Once I grasped this concept, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Whenever I faced rejection, I made it a point to pause and reflect. How do I feel about this? What's my immediate reaction? By focusing on my emotional response, I realized that I had the power to choose how I dealt with rejection. I could either wallow in despair or use it as fuel to propel myself forward. This understanding made me more resilient. I started to see rejection as a momentary setback rather than a defining failure. In practice, this meant being proactive about my emotions. Instead of letting feelings of inadequacy consume me, I began to acknowledge them, but not let them dictate my actions. I would ask myself questions. What can I learn from this? Or, how can I improve moving forward? This self-inquiry became a valuable tool in my emotional toolkit. It helped me to channel my feelings into constructive actions rather than destructive spirals. Moreover, this differentiation between control and lack of control helped me in my daily interactions. I started to notice that I often worried about how others perceived me. But then I realized their opinions are beyond my control. I can be the best version of myself, but I can't force someone else to appreciate it. Accepting this truth has given me a sense of peace. I focus on being authentic and true to my values rather than trying to mold myself into someone who might be more acceptable to others. Ultimately, mastering this distinction has made me feel more empowered in my life. Instead of being a victim of circumstances, I became an active participant in my own story. I learned to let go of the need for external validation and instead concentrate on my internal compass. Rejection became just another part of the journey, and I began to navigate it with greater ease and grace. Reflection and self-knowledge. Reflecting on rejection has become a powerful tool for self-discovery in my life. Each time I faced being turned down, I took it as an opportunity to dig a little deeper into who I am and what I truly value. It's fascinating how a moment of disappointment can lead to profound insights about ourselves. Why did this rejection sting? What does it reveal about my goals or desires? These questions have guided me toward deeper self-knowledge. The Stoics emphasize the importance of self-awareness, and I find that invaluable. When I reflect on my experiences with rejection, I realize that it often highlights areas where I may have been too attached to certain outcomes. For example, if I was rejected for a job that I thought was a perfect fit, it might reveal my over-identification with professional success. By reflecting on this, I can learn to detach my self-worth from external achievements and focus on my intrinsic values. Moreover, this reflective process helps me clarify my goals and aspirations. Each rejection serves as a checkpoint, allowing me to reassess what I truly want. Am I pursuing a career path that aligns with my passions? Am I seeking relationships that reflect my values? These questions lead to deeper understanding and help me align my actions with my true self, rather than merely reacting to outside circumstances. What's more, engaging in self-reflection after experiencing rejection has taught me to be kinder to myself. I've learned to recognize that rejection is not a reflection of my value as a person. It's merely feedback on a specific situation. This shift in perspective allows me to approach rejection with curiosity instead of despair. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" I now ask, "What can I learn from this?" Ultimately, this journey of reflection and self-knowledge has been incredibly empowering. It has turned moments of rejection into moments of growth and clarity. I no longer view rejection as a dead end, but rather as a fork in the road that leads to new opportunities for self-discovery and personal evolution. Each experience adds layers to my understanding of myself, allowing me to navigate life with greater confidence and authenticity. As we wrap up our journey through the lens of Stoicism, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Think about the last time you faced rejection. How did it make you feel? Did you let it define you, or did you rise above it? Remember, every rejection is a chance to grow, to strengthen your character. The Stoics believed that our reactions to events are what truly define us, not the events themselves. So when rejection comes knocking at your door, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience shape me into a stronger individual? Embrace the discomfort. It's in those moments of struggle that we find our greatest strength. Imagine the person you could become if you used every setback as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. And here's a challenge for you. The next time you face rejection, pause and practice gratitude. What opportunities lie ahead because of this experience? With every no, you're one step closer to a yes. So, stay resilient, keep pushing forward, and remember, rejection is just a part of the journey. How will you turn your next rejection into a powerful lesson? Let's discuss in the comments below. The comments.